Boy, oh boy, Dennis, my throat sure hurts. It's almost like a bullet or a piece of glass grazed it for some reason. Totally not staged. What's a bit of news that we can talk about on the Double D experience this week, Dennis? Nothing happened this week, right? Nothing of major importance at all?
People get shot all the time.
Oh my god. Shit.
It's like a daily thing out here in the States, so what if it's a potential president-elect, it's just... He gets shot, whatever.
Especially at Gettysburg, which is where he got shot. Gettysburg, wow, Gettysburg.
We've said first off,
there's no reason to even. There should be no reason to say it, but just in case, Trump got shot. Apparently, at one of his fucking rallies. Some incel-looking fuck. With a greasy ass neck beard and long ass hair and everything.
Totally paid for.
Registered as a Republican, by the way. Many theories about that already. Potentially to do that to try to vote against Trump in the primaries or something, or if it's some sort of stage double whammy thing. Fired shots in a crowd at a Trump rally, and this is where it stops being funny because Trump got grazed by the ear, and an innocent man did lose his life. As well as two people are also in critical condition as well. So, yeah, it's kind of fucked, to say the least. And the only thing I can think of about this scenario going forward, my first initial thoughts are, I hate women for lying to us. And the reason being is because they've told us for so long that inches don't matter. But 1 inch made all the fucking difference in the world. Right there. I'll tell you right the fuck now. One inch made all the difference. I'm not even kidding about that. You even saw some of the crime scene shots. The way his head was angled just a second before. If his head stayed like that, it was going to go straight through the back left of his cranium. Oof. And that would have been it. There's some shots were insane so far, of the still footage that they had, and some of the ones that I guess kind of disprove it would be staged. I mean, what disproves or proves anything? Where it's slow motion blurs it, you can see the bullet wing past his head and everything. It is crazy. So there was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. That's what happened, and the theories are already wild.
Of course they are.
Oh, they're everywhere, dude. Left blames the right. Say he was registered as a Republican. Right blames the left, said they incited the violence. It's all even for something as atypical as this. Just another day in the office for U.S. politics, right? Fucking A, man. So
we've had presidents either be assassinated or attempted to be assassinated plenty of times in history. So
yeah,
I mean, we had Kennedy. I don't know if Obama's ever had an attempt on his life, but
there was one that was declared it because somebody they heard some loud banging noises or something outside of the White House that they determined to be gunshots. This was many years ago. I don't remember that. But yeah, it's nothing like JFK or fucking Rex from Invincible. We got fucking Doug Dimmadomed.
Or even Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, Roosevelt
and Reagan too. Yeah, we've had plenty of those again in our time in our lifetime. Not lifetime, but
Ford?
History. Henry
Wasn't
Ford?
there one on Gerald Ford? Wasn't there one on Ford? Gerald Ford? No, right?
Let me see.
See, that's another reason I gotta get you the fucking stand, because now you're gripping it like if you're a fucking chronic porn addict or something, typing with one hand.
I love microphones.
I'm buying you one of those stands, brother. You can't just keep firmly grasping it in front of me. Dennis, we need to talk about that. I know you've been stressed. I know you're working mad hard where you're living at right now, but you can't just firmly grasp it in front of me. Can you please just understand that? I don't think I'm being irrational or unreasonable.
Oh yeah. So Gerald Ford, who was what was it? Lynette Squeaky Fromm, a member of the Manson family cult, attempted to assassinate United States President Gerald Ford in Sacramento, California in September 5th, 1975.
Okay.
Why? You know, hearing that it was from one of the Manson fuckers, it's I'm I'm almost not surprised, but at the same time, I almost forget sometimes that this like cult was like a thing during the 70s.
Right. Yeah.
Pointed a M1911 pistol at him on the public grounds at the California State Capitol building, and without chambering around in the gun, unsuccessfully attempted to fire. So she just basically had an unloaded gun.
What?
What a stupid bitch.
They don't teach you how to load a gun at like cult school?
Clearly not, I guess. Charles was just like, you'll be fine.
A cult school by a murderer, too. And he never taught you how to load a gun?
She spent 34 years in prison and was released on August 14th, 2009. And it was 2 years and 7 months after Ford's death. Did
they think Gerald was no longer at risk? And therefore we can now release her to the public?
I mean, I also wonder if, like, you know, after all those years in prison, like, she kind of just realized, like, wow, like, you know, what the fuck was wrong with me during those years?
I don't know, fam. Some of those pricks have like no remorse. The woman who killed Selena from Selena y los Dinos, her bail's gonna get posted up soon, and the entire internet is just talking about how they're gonna jump her ass, like as soon as she's out, for taking her away from us. But either way, the latest one, Donald Trump. Somebody fired shots at him, grazed his ear, took a tiny piece of his ear off, apparently, from what I've heard, and they took him to the ground. And this is where, like, people started to get sussy about it, right? Because Secret Service tackled him to the ground. They put Trump down, killed the guy, like, within seconds.
Shit.
Within seconds of, like, the shots being fired. Apparently, like, people saw him climbing up the roof and were trying to warn police, and they didn't do anything. So they tackled Trump to the ground, threw themselves on his body, picked him up. Trump said, "Wait, let me get my shoes." Literally said that. Like, just said, like, "Let me get my shoes." And then as they're taking him down, they somehow paused the guy for, like, a photo op or some shit. They stop dragging him. Donald Trump's forcing his way through the Secret Service, pumps his fist, like, through the agents, and screams, "Fight! Fight! Fight!" And then all, like, the MAGA craggers, the MAGA waggers, like, get up behind him, and they start, like, cheering for him and stuff as they carry him over to the hospital, right? Now, if you're on the right side of things, they think this guy's Jesus now. I mean, they thought he was Jesus before, but now they think he's like ultra Jesus. And on the left, there's some people are saying it was staged because they thought it was typical strongman politics. You know what I mean? Where, like, this guy's looking like the strong man, and now he's looking like the super strong man compared to Biden, of course, after he couldn't say a sentence at the debate, as well as also said that, called Trump the vice president at his recent press conference, among Joe Biden's latest sentence blunders. So, my only thought about this, I mean, there's no point in going onto every conspiracy theory unless you want to. I mean, there's like a million of them. Twitter's like unusable right now. I've been doom scrolling like a motherfucker. I went on the For You tab. Musk formally endorsed Trump now. Finally, we were just waiting for that to happen, and now he finally fucking did it. There's a million viral posts on there saying that the election is locked now. That, like, Trump's got it, like, on fucking deck. And I know, I kind of feel the same way.
I kind of do too, yeah. Like, this guy literally, like, he practically, like, you know, I mean, I don't want to go on to say, like, it's like a fucking surefire thing, but, I mean, his chances of winning have just basically skyrocketed at this point. And, I mean, not to even say, like, that I am a, like, Trump supporter, but it's more like I kind of also even predicted that he was going to do well in this election, despite all of the legal shit that we kind of know him, that he's going through right now. Like, his constituents and plus even his, like, supporters, like, just don't give a fuck. And as far as I know, like, you know, this basically did nothing but just completely gave him a free W for this fucking election. And people saying, like, the conspiracy theory that, like, this guy was working. They were working together, but like this dude got shot not point blank, but he literally got offed. Like,
and an innocent dude in the crowd did die as well. But who knows if that was just considered collateral for these evil pricks? Who the fuck knows anything at this point with the way misinformation spreads? We're living in the age of disinformation, or the age of misinformation, as you know, and there's certainly an argument for it just being strongman politics as usual. I mean, they probably thought that this would be the perfect thing to be like ultimate nail in the coffin for Biden. Because after the debate, my first thought was that if you are an independent voter, Trump just seemed more awake and just there, even though like everything he said in that debate was like a fucking total lie. But that's neither here or far between in American politics at this point. It's either identity politics or strongman stuff, or what's the word that I'm trying to remember now? Appearances, or just performance-based, as opposed to policy, the stuff that will actually wind up affecting us. And that is the kind of thing that really sort of gets my goat about this, because really, I've seen a million viral posts about it. Trump's got the election on lock. Nah, this pick goes fucking hard. I'm voting for Trump now. We've had people actually saying that now because, like, the pick goes hard and shit. There was a failed assassination attempt on this guy, which means they clearly wanted him dead for a reason. Blah, 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 blah. I don't even know where to begin, because I actually have so much to say about it, but I don't even know where to fucking start. Like, the Democrats are throwing this so unbelievably fucking bad, it's insane. Because the fact of the matter is, they should never have put Biden up for re-election in the first place. And the fact that they waited till now to start calling on him to do that is them basically saying, we want to lose. Also, I'm going to put this poster on my back that says, hey, just fucking spit on me. And then this happens. Which, ironically, if it's not staged, did the exact opposite of what this prick tried to do. That's the thing with, like, these political assassinations, man. They always just wind up being a net bad, like, for almost everybody when these things roll around. Because if this guy really just wanted to kill Trump to stop him from taking office, he basically guaranteed it happened now by just fucking up his aim. That's the insane part about this, really, is that he literally...
You think he sneezed when he fucking fired?
Sneezed and then just hit Kenny from South Park. The bullet just winds up hitting him, like, all the way from Pennsylvania to Colorado. Probably, I don't know. But, like, don't you think the sheer irony of that is, as somebody who very much hates Trump, it's gut-wrenching. And, like, really, it's just a big kick right in the balls to the point where it makes you want to vomit. The whole thing of him, like, pumping his fist to the crowd, too, and everything, it just makes it feel like so many more stupid people are going to vote for him based entirely off of that. And that's what depresses me more than anything else, because it is a case of strongman politics, right, Dennis? The fact that it is about appearances rather than policy. Because I would even say that there might be some people who, and there's a lot of people who are still saying we'll never vote for him no matter what. There are millions of viral posts about that as well, saying don't let this sway you towards Trump, blah, blah, blah. You want to think of how many people who would be Democrats who would be voting for Trump off of this based on them not liking Biden by them saying he's too old, when there's so many factors that go against it. You know, before I was like, as far as strongman politics go, it's like, oh, Trump just he's 4 years younger than Biden. Don't let a fucking bad hair job fool you into thinking this guy is also not pretty geriatric. He said Nancy Pelosi was the VP in one of his speeches or something. Everybody just forgot about that. They both said, like, shit like that all the time, and in an election where no one wants these two, because we all recognize these two old-ass geriatric white dudes are too old and are just not what the country wants or needs right now to progress towards the future, something like this might really just be the nail in the coffin for Biden, because it's just, people don't know what to vote on, and it's just pure performance-based. My guess is that there were going to be less people voting in this election than ever before, because these candidates are low-key even less popular than Trump was when he was going up against Hillary back in the day. But now, I don't know. I mean, a lot can change in the next couple of months. I mean, but the way it's looking like right now at the time of this recording, I think Biden needs to be in like a Jason Statham level car explosion. Like flipping like a million times in the air, landing out, having all the Secret Service in the car with him totally dead, and then he just like fucking crawls out with one hand and gets back up for him to have a shot.
With a fist in the air.
Yeah, with a fist in the air as well. Yeah. So, all of those takes aside, I have one more thing to say towards the end of the podcast when we're done. Let's talk to the actual historian in the call right now. If y'all forget that Dennis has a history degree and knows a lot about shit that happened before this very moment right now. So, Dennis, I've been talking enough, man. How do you feel about all this bullshit?
I mean, I think the only parallel that I could even draw on this, just because, at least for one, sorry, just adjusting myself here. For one, the assassination attempt was a failure. You know, it was botched. The guy literally grazed him for one, and literally, like, you know, he just missed. He didn't hit his target. And
people are already comparing Trump to Teddy Roosevelt because he got back up.
Exactly. And for one thing, at least, like, you know, Teddy Roosevelt actually got shot in the heart.
Like shot.
Yeah. Like, he motherfucking literally got shot. And, you know, the only thing that basically saved him was his speech that he had, which was like, I don't know why, it was like a fucking 500-page ass speech. And he literally recited the whole thing before he said, "Now take me to the hospital because I am bleeding out." But
maybe Trump was just like, "Let me get my shoes." Teddy Roosevelt didn't need his shoes, and he was 30 million times better of a president. Please continue, Dennis.
But at the same time, this I believe that famous speech of his, let me actually look if it was around the time of when he was up for re-election, because Teddy Roosevelt, for even all of his for his popularity during his era, he still never got that re-election that I think for a lot of people, they believed that he would get. So, I mean,
it's not set in stone yet, right? But everyone is saying it's fucking set in stone this time too.
The thing that is a bit different here now, compared to, let's say, during the 1910s, which was, you know, when Teddy Roosevelt, like, you know, had that attempted assassination. From what David told me, and even from what I kind of gleaned from like the election, and even just kind of like the buzz we've been seeing about it these last couple of weeks, there was a very severe lack of people who, like, were even, I don't even want to say excited for this election, because, like, I think most people aren't excited about elections. That they mostly view them as, like, a very dreadful fucking thing. So, like, I mean, which, you know, I don't blame most people for thinking that way, but
this was a sleepy one, right? It felt like a lot of people really didn't care until now or talk about the fact that we were in election year, and all the shit is hitting the fan now.
Yeah. And I think, for one, the media companies, like, right now, they're eating good. Like, just fucking, they're just eating so well right now, even just talking about this. Because, like, you know, for one, we haven't had anything like this. Something of, like, I don't think we've really had, like, recently speaking, like an attempted assassination of a president-elect like this, or like a presidential candidate. Like,
nobody tried to kill Biden because they probably recognized they didn't have to.
I mean, him tumbling down the stairs, we figured the stairs were going to do the job, like, you know, by themselves, which, unfortunately, like, you know, no, I'm kidding. I don't want, you know, obviously Biden or Trump to, like, get offed at all. It's just that, like, you know, I even thought, like, at least for Trump's case, like, I even thought thinking back in the day, that he would kind of have, like, an assassination attempt. Like, I thought it would happen. I just didn't think, like, you know, it was going to happen, like, now. But, you know, I guess in a way, like, what I thought, like, kind of came true, because he is arguably one of the most very controversial, you know, obviously presidents, like, we've had in, like, ever, I think.
Might be the most, really. We're being straight up.
Until, like, the next more controversial president ever comes along. But
until Dickhead Jr. runs. Yeah, probably.
We've had some political dynasties in this country before, too.
Yeah,
so,
selling, like, merch the day after Alec Baldwin shot that woman about it. Yeah, we'll have sympathy for your fucking people, too. Would you have said the same if it was Biden? I don't know. all of a sudden now it's not the time for like political violence. It never helps anybody or whatnot. But who knows if somebody tried to shoot Biden, if they'd be saying the same thing. This is the day and age of social media, man. Media's having a field day. Jake Tapper did some weird, shitty false report because, you know, he's not a journalist. He works for CNN. Senior House Democrat tells Axios, we've all resigned ourselves to a second Trump presidency. And if y'all fucking resigned yourself to a second Trump presidency already, if whatever senior House Democrats are saying that, y'all need to fucking retire and get your useless ass out of the way. Holy shit, you need to get your useless ass. Like, what? Why didn't you listen to us when we tell you not to put him up again a second time? And now you just quit in the face of somebody who expressed some pretty fascist ideas in the way out. Just bend over for him, because it'll be a media extravaganza. It's fucked right now, dude. I spent too much time on Twitter today. It's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad.
I don't blame anyone feeling that way, especially like if you're on social media that much. Like, it's probably going to be the only thing you're going to be seeing for the next like week, I think, until obviously more information comes out about like even the shooter to begin with. I mean, let's move on to then talking about like, let's say if, you know, fast forward from now, election day comes around, and like, you know, Trump's just like leading in the popular votes, and like he's just leading in popularity in general, as far as like the entire country is concerned. If there's one thing that I would do want to say, I think anyone who considered themselves to be like a moderate is kind of looking at this right now and is kind of going, he's not my guy, but at the same time, like there is like that, Trump has one thing that I feel Biden will never have, and it's just charisma. And I think, for one, like, we may say what we want about Trump to begin with, but he does have Riz way more than Biden does. And
Don't
I think
say that.
No, the thing is, well, too bad, I already said it. And anyways, like, what I'm kind of getting at too is just that, like, you know, for one, we've seen him work a crowd. Like, he knows how to like just work people in general, like, and even being that, let's say, figure for people to follow, he's really good at it. And like, you know, I know people will even have brought up like the whole, you know, Hitler kind of did the same thing as well. Like, he knew how to work a crowd, he knew how to work people in general, and like, you know, it's the reason why he got that following that he did. But I mean, in his case, like, you know, one could argue maybe it's not so different. But what I'm getting at though is that as far as like, you know, him getting that second term, for me, I had a feeling that it was gonna happen after Biden's 4 years were up.
I did too.
Like, I had a feeling that like, unless like Biden literally like does something transformative in anything, like it could have been anything. If he did something that was transformative on top of being the president that everyone knew him as, that he's not Trump, you know? If he did that on top of that, bro would have gotten that second term, no problem. And we've even seen, let's say, arguably certain presidents who didn't deserve a second term get a second term. I mean, say what you want about Bush, right? But he was leading the war on terror. He was the one that declared war on those terrorists and Iraq, you know, after 9/11. And I think for a lot of people, that was basically enough to get him that second term. Even though, you know, from what we know of Bush, like, we kind of knew that maybe we shouldn't get Bush again, but, you know, we got Bush again. So it's like, fuck it. Like, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is, like, as far as when that happened.
Right.
But, you know, now, like, but, you know, we've had 4 years of Biden. Not much has really changed. In fact, if anything, things have arguably even gotten worse, in my opinion. And,
yeah,
you know, the economic situation being what it is, I'm no economist, but at the very least, from a glance, it's not really doing well. And it's one of those economic situations where right now, if you're rich, you're thriving. But if you're a normal person who's just trying to make it through the day and pay his bills, you're kind of uber fucked. So
yeah.
It's like, you know,
how many people are going to vote for the guy who will make things even better for the rich because of Riz?
Mm-hmm.
You see, you know what I mean? a lot of people can. Everyone blames the whatever the current situation is always, no matter what it is, even if it has nothing to do with the system of checks and balances, on the president. The president is basically like the actor of like in like a movie. Like when you don't like a movie, people always blame the actors. Always. People are usually a little smarter with that now because nerd culture has advanced, but the movie also had writers. Quite frankly, the actors could have been great and they were just directed horribly. Some people believe there's no such thing as bad actors, only bad directors. It's the same thing with presidents. You know, there's so many reasons for things being shittier, for things sucking, and it's not all one person's fault. You know, it was not everything was Biden's fault, not everything was Trump's fault, Obama's, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Some things are direct causations and correlations, like the Supreme Court making all these horrible-ass decisions that we hate from them. That is directly Trump's fault, because the president appoints the Supreme Court nominees, and he put, like, 4 in there, or some shit, or, like, 3, or some fucking, like, arbitrary-ass huge number. That's... People can't differentiate that. And I feel like maybe people will say, like, oh, but things still suck now. Well, guess we'll vote for Trump. Things sucked in 2020 to 2024. Things suck. Or from 2016 to 2020, I mean. Things suck. We'll vote for Biden. 2014 or 2012 to 2016. Things suck. Yeah, I guess we gotta vote for Trump. Like, get somebody else. And it's like, I don't know how short people's attention spans are, if that's part of it getting blamed, but like, my take on this is that, you know, to talk with your points as well, I guess, I also kind of thought Biden really didn't have to do much with how dissatisfied people were with things that were a direct correlation to Donald Trump. Roe versus Wade being a huge one. Women would probably vote for him in spades, we thought. Or, you know, others, what is the other one? Like the Chevron one that they did recently, or the presidential immunity one. All these things that we know are because Trump appointed these people to the Supreme Court. And there's a million people who will ride or die Biden no matter what, just because he's not Trump still. I've seen a ton of viral posts about that as well, like just as many as people saying Trump's got this on lock because of the sick photo op, or because he's a strong man who took the bullet standing up. And I want to believe in my heart of hearts that we are not so simple of creatures, that we're not so dumb, that we're not so easily swayed by the power of images to just completely forget about everything that Donald Trump did and to sway people who would otherwise not vote for him based on the fact that some dumbass, like, Discord mod looking motherfucker shot at him and missed, and he got back up from it by getting barely grazed in the ear. I want to believe that strongman politics won't win. You know, even Marco Rubio, or whoever, not Marco Rubio, Mark Cuban, who's even after the debate said, yeah, Biden looked terrible, but I'm still absolutely riding with him because I like his policy better. His policy is better to me. He has actual morals as far as I'm concerned, at the very least compared to Trump, who's just going to make things better for rich people and ruin everything else for the rest of us, such as the economy, the environment, abortion rights, blah, 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 all that stuff, gun violence, all that shit. I don't give a fuck if Trump looked better or could form complete sentences when every sentence out of his mouth was a complete and total lie. And if young people forget that and choose to vote for Trump based off of like that, or like a meme or whatever, then we fucking deserve whatever shitstorm comes from him getting elected. At least they do, not us. Because here's my concluding thoughts on all of that. I was going to save this to the end of the podcast, but I'll save it to my point now based on what I'm going off of. If you vote for Donald Trump because you like his policy, you like what he's going to do, hell, you like what he's done with the Supreme Court, I strongly disagree with your takes. I think you have some weird stances on morality that you need to look in the mirror on, but that's fair. If you like the guy based on what he's actually going to do, or like based on like his stances, that's the reason you should vote for somebody. If you don't like his stances, or you just don't care about all the heinous shit his policies are going to do to other people, and you vote for the guy because he has aura, you're a fucking dipshit. You're a fucking moron. Like, full goddamn fucking stop, period in the sentence right there. You are fucking stupid. You are a fucking dipshit ass moron if that is the reason you vote for somebody. Because if you have to explain to your wife or whoever it is that they no longer can get an abortion, even for like the fetus inside of them that's going to do genuine damage to their body, they have to risk actual bodily autonomy damage to give birth to it. if your wife has a genuine chance of dying on the operating table or having a child that she can't afford or want or will ruin her life, tell her that you voted for the guy that made that happen to her because he had aura. Tell her that. A couple years later on down the line. I'm sure she's gonna love that explanation coming in. I voted for him because he looked cool, and that's why you're suffering right now. Tell me how that argument sounds in a couple of years. If I haven't made my political stance abundantly clear, I guess I'm a little moderate. I lean more left than anything, if I'm being honest. I typically always vote blue, even if I don't like the blue people necessarily that much, because, like, you know...
What if she got the bluesy, bro?
Especially if she got the bluesy, that's why I vote for them. Jake Sully, how does it feel to betray your entire political party?
That might be a lot of Dems right now, and at the same time, like, you know, I know
it's their fucking fault. They should have thrown Biden out like years ago, but they waited till now.
Not the party, but the people voting. For the people voting, like them, like jumping ship right now, and like them just saying like, "Yo," like to be fair,
it's a perfect timing shitstorm too. Right after the debate and after like his press conference and everything, this happened at the best possible time for Trump as well. Which is another reason people think it was fucking staged. Which crazy.
You know, which, I mean, hey, like, you know, it's... I don't blame them for thinking that. Like,
if there's any president that would
stage a shooting for himself,
it's Trump, bro. If there's any president, it's the guy who was a fucking reality TV star. Let's be real.
I mean... I
Biden's the guy where if they tried to fake one, which they might do in like a month or two,
they'd actually shoot him by accident.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's the one who's gonna get hit by it by accident, or at the fact that it is a rubber bullet and it hits him, but then he falls, and then he just actually dies. Exactly. Yeah.
And then the coroner's just kind of like, yeah, it wasn't exactly the bullet that killed him. It's like, the fuck you mean? No, he fell and it hit his head. Like he went down head first and it just killed him.
Nah, it wasn't the airplanes. 'Twas dementia that killed the beast. Fucking A. These really are I think these are the worst choices we've ever had. At the very least, Biden, mostly because of his age, as far as I'm concerned. I still like what he's done better. He forgave a lot of student debt. Like, a lot. And, among other things, just what he's tried to do with, like, the House and the Senate that we've given him and whatnot. There's always some excuse for the Democrats. We still didn't fucking vote hard enough. The Republicans are still winning. They get to block everything. There's always what the fucking excuses. They really are fucking useless. But one other thing they could have fucking done is they could have fucking taken... They always go high, right? They could have gone so low and used this as an excuse to push for gun control. And they didn't fucking do that either. I don't know how much it would have worked. I mean, there was a shooting at that Republican baseball game, and they still didn't fucking care. But, God, we deserve so much better than this. Either way, you know me. I'm voting for Biden so Trump can't fill up the Supreme Court with, like, more old-ass people paid off by, like, rich fucking billionaires or whatever to just make sure our rights get fucked over and over again. That's... When you vote for a president, just remember, you're not just voting for just the person. You're voting for what they're going to do, who they're going to appoint, who their cabinet people are going to be. It's not just the one dude you like this guy better over the other. It's based off what they're going to fucking do. But it just doesn't fucking matter anymore. Policy doesn't matter. It's how they fucking look on images and how they look on the internet in front of the fucking cameras. Christ almighty. I wanted to believe that mattered back in, like, 2020 when Biden, like... After the election in 2016, which had the least amount of voters in the history of, like, the country, to the most, like, 4 years later, because of how fucking shiitake mushrooms of a President Donald Trump was, that Trump, you actually lost to this, like, you know, the corn pop guy. You lost to him. You lost to the guy who, like, literally did the Dairy Queen thing, who, like, actually held the Frosty, like, over and over upside down to see if it would actually fall. You lost to him! And he fucking destroyed him, too. At the very least, not by what's the word, the G word. I can't remember, fucking gerrymandering, or just the way the states are divided by the Electoral College. It was the popular vote. That was the different ballpark. And to see this come again, and to think of how much can change in 4 years, even when it looked like Biden was still fairly solid, there was still that lingering creepiness in the back of our heads, like you mentioned about 10 minutes ago, that Trump still has a very solid shot at this. Because people don't like how old Biden is. People are still disappointed or upset with their lives, saying he hasn't done enough, saying if I'm reelected, I'm going to codify Roe versus Wade into law, when you could have fucking done it because you're already the fucking president. It's, Christ, I'm talking too much, Dennis. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize how heated I was going to get about this. I'm really sorry. I feel like you've barely gotten a word in. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, Papa.
Shut up.
Forgive me. Okay, I will. Thank you.
Well, I guess, I don't disagree with a lot of what you say, though, because, I think I don't disagree, but at the same time, I kind of have like this almost begrudging acceptance of kind of just the way things are now. Because at least, I don't because David argued that, like, if you are a person who elects someone just based off of feeling, you are a dipshit.
Most people vote with their gut and not their head.
Yeah, which part of me does agree with that, but the other part is that that's kind of how like a lot of people just vote nowadays. Like, if they, let's say, just kind of find like a candidate attractive for whatever reason, that's like just enough for them to kind of go like, yeah, he's got my vote. And it's been no different from literally, since even the beginning of this country. Like, George Washington, again, a guy who, let me remind you, did not want the job at all. And he was the most effortless election you will have ever seen in this country's history. Bro did not want it. He did not want that seat, but people gave it to him anyways. And he literally wanted to be left the fuck alone after the war was over. But they just would not let him. And one may even argue, like, oh, well, who else could have led the nation, in the very turbulent time after the war? Because, for one, the United States, the literal infant of a nation that it was, had no money, was paying off debts and paying off just building credit with like the entire international community for one. Plenty of places were literally had to be rebuilt right back up. War devastated dozens of towns. There was just a lot of shit to do, and they just really needed a guy who, at the very least, could at least be their symbol of, I guess, hope, if that makes sense. To be fair, like, one could even argue, like, he didn't really do much, George Washington, when he was around. And what I'm getting at, though, is that, like, at least, talking about Washington here, what I'm getting at is that, nobody really thought, like, no one ever thought and looked at Washington and thought like, oh yeah, like he's got the qualities. It's like, no, everyone who voted that day for Washington all was on feeling. They did not give a fuck if he knew politics or whatnot or whatever. They all just looked at him and said, yep, that's our guy, because there's no one else that like could even like hold a candle to him just as a candidate. And it's just something that I think we've seen in this country like for a long time. I mean, like, obviously the media being what it was, or being what it is, currently, like, at the very least, it's like, they're still showing you and still like televising that, like, those debates and stuff, so you get an idea at least of like kind of what kind of politician like they are, or just kind of even what kind of person they are in general. And there is like a lot of factors on top of that also just kind of makes you go, at least for me, it made me very numb to the way like politics works around here, because again, feeling is the most powerful thing here in this country. Like, I say that as in like, oh, like, that's how people vote here. Like, we could argue all day long that, like, yeah, you can watch all the debates, read all the CNN articles, and like, kind of just be as well informed as you possibly can about a certain candidate, and like, that's the way people will vote. It's really not. I like about more than 60% of the people here, I have nothing to back that up with, but it's my feeling. And we don't deal with facts on the show.
I was Eisenhower. A lot of wartime presidents get elected. Whoever the general was for the big wars, Grant and Eisenhower.
Abraham Lincoln literally got reelected plenty of times as well. Even though it was kind of he got a third term, believe it or not. And it's one of those really rare occasions that you ever see like a third term for a president. And
Lincoln.
Yeah.
What are you sure? What?
Believe.
What are you talking about? Didn't he only serve 4 until he got shot?
Let me see. Third term. Oh shit! Never mind. Wrong one.
I was gonna say,
yeah. But FDR.
Oh yeah, FDR,
the
wartime president. It would be interesting though. This would be the first time that a former president wins after losing after his first term since Grover Cleveland.
Oh
Grover
shit!
Cleveland was Cleveland was the only other president that happened to. It was Grover Cleveland. He lost to Benjamin Harrison, and then Grover Cleveland came back and bodied Benjamin Harrison again
with the clapback.
Yeah, he had the clapback. Craziness, truly.
Which it can happen. It has happened. So,
it can happen, and it's looking very likely that it will. And I just hope it's to God, not for the wrong reasons. But it just makes me sad. And I know, like what you said, I could sit here and argue about it all day that this is not the way it should be. But I don't want to accept the fact that that's just the way it is.
No, and
it sucks. Really,
I don't blame you either. But the thing is that we've just seen it, fucking time and time again here. And 2016, I think, is just one of the biggest examples you'll ever have of that.
JFK was another one too, to keep talking about American history. His debate against Richard Nixon, who, fun fact, was the first person to ever tell Donald Trump that he should run for president. Really put some things into perspective for you. Right the fuck there. JFK versus Nixon was the first ever televised debate. Ever. In the history of the nation. The first one where we can put it on the tiny box in the living room. And on that tiny box in the living room, JFK just mopped the fucking floor with Nixon so bad in that debate. And it's what led to him dominating that election, right? Because Kennedy just seemed so poised. He was classy. He was handsome. He had this charismatic accent.
He was young.
He was young too. God, he was the young. That's another good point. Nixon was sweating bullets and nervous and fat. All sorts of shit. And it led to him dominating that election. So, if the debate was any telling for it, if that's all we're going off of, then yeah, Donald Trump just looked better, but it makes no sense that it's like eating a burger, right? It's like eating a fucking burger that looks like a delicious Krabby Patty, right? But then you take a good look at it, and it's like the nasty patty from the health inspector episode. It's like the substance of the burger doesn't matter. What it looks like on the outside is way more important, even though you're shoveling literal shit down your throat. Or the Krabby O Mondays episode where it's filled with lard, and it just looks like a normal burger on the inside, but then you open it and it's just this gray, dark matter looking paste substance that you're putting inside your body. That shouldn't matter more for something like this. And it sucks that it's the way that it is. So many people who complain about Trump and look at all the shit that he's done, I don't think those people are going to turn tail and vote. But for the very few independent voters in this country, and I think there's fewer than you might think nowadays. Identity politics is huge nowadays. You know me, I'm not voting for Trump no matter what. You could put a fucking sock puppet over the Oval Office, or the little Kermit the Frog Muppet over the podium for the debate. I would literally vote for it over Trump. I'm not even lying. But that's how bad identity politics has gotten. To turn based off of something like Aura is just so silly. I said it a million times already, but to go with the gut, with the way it's looking right now, I see those viral posts and I can't help but not disagree. I feel like Trump is just thriving right now. And it's going to be really dependent on what he's going to say after this. It's probably just going to be like the fucking Emperor speech from Star Wars. Where he's going to be like, there was an attempt on my life, but I assure you, my revision is stronger than ever. I'm telling you, that's going to be the exact thing. It's going to be like, they tried. Oh, they tried.
I mean, they did. I mean, well, that guy did.
You ever have some of those moments where you feel like you have more to say, but you can't think of anything because you don't actually have more to say?
Yeah, but it's just like you have like that fire in you that just wants to say more, but like you can't like conjure up the words.
Dog. 4 more years of Trump because he has aura? I can't. You know what what this guy's gonna do if he's? I'm not even fear mongering right now. I'm calling it right the fuck now.
It's not.
He's gonna try to put more people in the court to expand presidential terms because they keep trying to give him absolute power with the recent ruling about how presidents can do pretty much anything and have like it not be illegal as long as they're in office, as long as it's an official or unofficial act. You think this fucker's not going to try to expand his presidency more after 4 years? It's not just going to be 4 more years of Trump. He's going to try to get a third term. I'm telling you right now.
I think you're also just kind of like forgetting another person.
Am I falling for the Democrat propaganda? Is that what's happening here?
I think you're also forgetting someone that deserves your ire, like as well.
Who am I forgetting? Somebody that deserves my ire. Who tell me?
The Dems themselves, man.
Dude, it's their fucking fault. Are you kidding?
They've been fumbling this for how many years now?
This is the biggest, like, political throw. Like, ever. Ever. They had this in the bag, dude. They could have even just thrown Biden out so early on. Put somebody else, like, hey, it's Kamala now. Actually, truth be told, not Kamala, because I don't think this country's ready to elect a woman. But even somebody else. I'm not even trying to be mean when I say that. I think that's part of the reason Hillary lost.
Well, no, I think for one, I think it's half and half of something else. I think it's half of that, half also the fact that, Hillary was about as career politician and real estate woman-ass looking, like, just candidate you have ever seen ever. Everything she said was the most cookie-cutter bullshit, like, you had ever heard from anybody as a candidate.
My opponent is a liar and cannot be trusted. We all saw the South Park episode, the greatest political commentary we've ever seen.
And, it's part of the reason why that even her own, like, voters were even turned off by her. She literally just doesn't look like, I mean, even, let's say, compared to Donald Trump, she doesn't look like a human being when she was on TV.
Looking back on the 2016 election, it makes total sense why Trump won. Looking back on it, it makes complete sense as far as I'm concerned. But, what was I saying? What were you saying before this?
But then, like, I'm saying, like, even after 2016, and it's been, like, 8 years now of this?
Yeah.
It's like, for one, I don't even think the Dems could even, consider Biden taking office as, like, a W, because it was the easiest W in the history of Ws. Like, I don't think there was really that much competition by that point in time in 2020 for getting him elected.
Most Democrats would have beaten him. Bernie would have destroyed him.
Yeah,
I think.
And Bernie's just even one of like the many other Dems that they have that is just way more appealing as like, let's say, a presidential candidate. And moving on now, like, and even let's say if let's say in another timeline, like we put up Kamala on the ticket and like just have her like to run for president, right? She as well would unless she literally just was like a real person on TV, like the same way even like let's say Obama was. I mean, Obama himself was like also a bit of a career politician as well when he was trying to run. But I'm saying though, like as far as like, just don't be Hillary would be the only thing you have to do. Just don't be a fucking lizard robot in front of the camera, like when you're just doing anything. Like, remember that one gif of when the balloons dropped and that fucking wide-eyed like crazy woman murderer look that she had, like looking at everything? Like, that's not the face of a real fucking person. And give it, like, we give shit to Trump all we want, but at the very least it's like his, like, I think he is also just even built for television, if that makes sense. Like, he just does shit that either one of us find funny or outraged. And the thing is that both of those things are not mutually exclusive in the respect that they're gonna get you clicks, they're gonna get you buzz in social media. And at the same time, it's also going to get you just votes in general. Like, everything he did leading up to that election, and then even, looking at it now, everything he's done has just benefited him in a way where it's like he knows how to work media very well. And I think that's just something too that we don't have a president like that, or we don't have a candidate like that knows how to work the camera. And we've had plenty of people, like, at least as far as the Dems go, they've had plenty of people on the bench that, like, we all said, you and I, that would be great just to, like, if they could just run for office. But the Dems, and in their whatever infinite wisdom, just decide, no, we're not going to go for those people. We're just going to go for the guy who won before, and we're just going to see if he wins again. And because we just have no plan. That's the thing. They have no plan, in my opinion. And we give shit to the Republicans all we want. But at the very least, it's like they actually, like, have a plan when it comes to election season. Then, but for Democrats especially though, like, they haven't had a good plan since Obama. I mean, we could even say, like, oh yeah, them electing Obama, like, almost shouldn't have happened. And I think even, looking back at it, like, and just with the way this country kind of has been brought up, like, first, black president, like, ever in the history of the entire world. Like, that is a milestone, no matter what you want to say. As far as his presidency goes, like, obviously you can say what you want about it. Even I have my own choice opinions about his presidency. But, like, that was a milestone moment. And, but then after that, who have we had? Like, who has the Dems had? Who has the Dems had, who was even close to that level of, like, let's say, like, star, or even just, like, with the same amount of charisma? We've had a few, but they just were not chosen to run for president for whatever reason.
It came about placements. 2010 was when the Supreme Court made the worst decision of all time in Citizens United, which lets lobbyists and politicians put as much money into someone as they want, undercutting the voices of the American people. Maybe that's when some candidates decided to, like, what became so much more for the establishment, which Donald Trump very much seemed to not be, which is part of the reason people loved him. People were just willing to try something new. They didn't want more of the same for what they deemed Obama was. And Donald Trump was very much a new thing, as extreme as he appeared to be. That's why people voted for him. Now it's a totally different, like, situation that he's going to lose against the same guy who fucking bodied him even harder back in the 2020 election just because of his aging, which the Democrats should have fucking picked up on and just dropped him out of the ticket for somebody else. And the fact that they waited to start calling on him to do that now is insane. Granted, a lot of European countries have elections in way shorter time spans. France has had theirs in like 6 weeks, sometimes even less.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are saying that, 4 months is plenty of time. Jon Stewart, one of the biggest fucking proponents of that, he's been saying that on The Daily Show a lot. He's calling for Biden to drop out and just to put up another Democrat. And some Democrats hate him for that. And they're just splitting and, like, fucking Sun Tzu's Art of War, fighting amongst themselves, while these pricks, even a lot of Republicans who don't like Trump, will just bend over for him at the Republican ass-kissing convention happening right now at the time of this recording, uniting under this guy who they just could have gotten rid of years ago after he basically took over their party, but they're just fucking scared of. So many pussies, so many wrongdoings, so much pussyfooting around, so many cowards, really, that could have prevented this from what should be the lowest voter turnout in the history, in recent history in this country, which I'm predicting it's still going to be. Because no one wanted these two. We're talking about identity politics here, but the vast majority of Americans truly did not want either of these guys. We want somebody younger, somebody who's actually for the people, who understands the issues, somebody who isn't either just like somebody who vows to be a dictator on day one, who says his presidency is going to be about revenge rather than the fucking people, as opposed to Biden, somebody who just can't even formulate a fucking sentence. For Christ's sake, we deserve so much better than this. And to leave on a positive note, I guess, it's nice to know that there will be people who will continue to fight for something positive than this, even if another Trump presidency is potentially going to set us back even further beyond into the void. And to end on this, I know people don't say, don't say who you're voting for. I don't give a fuck. It's our show. I'll say it if I fucking want to. I'm still voting for Biden. based off of his policy, and also in order to pretty much just keep Trump out of office. I don't have sympathy for the guy enough to warrant me voting for him just because somebody tried to kill him. God has been trying to kill Joe Biden for years at this point. That doesn't mean I'm gonna fucking... that doesn't mean I'm not gonna vote for him over that, even though I like his policies better than Trump. And just to conclude my thoughts here, vote for Donald Trump if you like his policies better. I urge you not to. I think he's gonna be way more disastrous for this country than another Biden term really will be. Even with Biden in his advanced age, he's still going to surround himself with the right people as opposed to Trump surrounding himself with yes men, potentially. Fingers crossed that he doesn't, knock on wood. But, yeah, I'm voting for somebody based off of policy rather than appearance. I'm not going to let strongman politics warp my brain into thinking this guy is better for the nation and that his policies will be better. The people that he's going to enact around him will be better just because some fucking Discord mod thought he could, like, shoot at him like he does in his video games back at home and missed. If you don't understand the lack of correlation there, you're too stupid to be fucking voting at all. And you really should just stay the fuck home. Please. That's my stance, alright? I'm not riding with Biden, I'm just fucking voting for him just because I hate the other guy more. Let's go with that.
So
lesser of two evils, sure.
Still boils down to feeling, though. Just saying, guys.
That still boils down to feeling for me?
I think so, kind of. Only just because, like, you know, only because I'm not even saying that's a bad thing either, man. Because it's like, it's just something that I've seen and it's something that everyone has done. But, you know, you, like, at the very least, it's like feeling but informed, if that makes sense. Because you've actually looked into, like, policies and you actually looked into, like, kind of just their politics in general and just at least made a decision off of that. But compared to the ones who, like, just look at or just feel and just go off of that when they go to the voting booth, bit different is what I'm saying. Like, I'm just saying, though, there's still that involved is what I'm saying, though. Yeah. Because you just don't like Trump, which, you know.
No, you're the historian. You're the one who proved it to the world for us today here on the Double D Experience, my friend. You're not wrong, and it wouldn't be the first time people vote for a presidential candidate off of feeling. You know, voters vote with their guts sometimes, not with their heads. It depends on the person, really, but, you know, maybe there's less independence to this point this time where it'll be different. But I like to think you know more about that stuff than I do.
I don't know. Because again, like, you know, just to wrap it up here, guys, like, you know, if you guys are going to go to that voting booth in, November, and, like, kind of just, you know, make a choice, like, and if you are one of those people who, I guess just vote off of feeling, I will agree with David, you are a bit of a dipshit, but at the same time, I kind of don't blame you either, because that's just kind of how this country's been run, and this kind of has voted for a long, long time. But at the same time, you know, just take even 10 minutes, like, to read an article or some shit, like something, like, you know, just read the highlights of the debate or whatever. Like, kind of like how we watch, like, sports here. We just watch the highlights because we don't want to watch the whole fucking thing.
Look up Project 2025.
So that's my whole take on it. Personally for me, I don't think I'm voting, truthfully. Like, I hate the both of them. Like, not even hate, I just don't like both of them, if that makes sense. Like, I have no, like, genuine hatred towards these two people, like, these two old, like, geriatric fucks. I just also don't like the both of them. Because, you know, I think, again, this country is very much overdue for another, like, Teddy Roosevelt, because we need some serious unfucking right now. But when that happens, I don't know. So, like, you know, therefore, I'm just not going to vote because I just don't like both candidates. I mean, I know why plenty of my friends and family, like, voted for Trump, but it wasn't just because, like, it wasn't actually at all because of his politics. It was just kind of like they were also business owners and that was going to help them. So that's why, like, they voted for him. Which,
damn,
you know,
after the Kung Flu shit?
They didn't care about that. It was literally
really?
No, I even say this, like, if any of you guys are in, like, an Asian household and, like, you've seen your parents, like, even talk about politics, they don't even bring up, like, actually, like, political policies. They're thinking of economic policies strictly. And considering how, like, a lot of Asian Americans here, like, have businesses, they're looking out for anyone that's going to look out for them when it comes to that, because that's their lifeblood. We literally pay rent and have a roof over our heads because of their business. So, again, like everyone, again, had their own opinions of voting for Trump. I'm just saying, though, again, if you're going to be voting in November, which I'm not, but if you guys are, just make at least a 20% of an informed decision before like you just decide to let feeling take the wheel, if that makes sense. So, that's my 2 cents.
And if you are voting for Trump because you like his policies, that's whatever. But what I will say is, to echo, I guess, Jon Stewart's sentiment, stop pretending that wanting him to be a dictator or wanting him to be like president forever, blah, 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 if you love him that much, you can do all that, whatever. Like, you're a fan of the guy, that's fine. Stop pretending it's patriotism. Because stop pretending it's patriotism. What you are doing is the exact fucking opposite of patriotism. Just because you say it's for the flag does not mean it actually is. Wanting him to be president-elect for life, or wanting him to be a king, which you glorified that Supreme Court decision on basically making him above the law, and as Biden currently is now because of it, is literally the most un-American thing you could possibly do. The Founding Fathers were rolling over in their fucking graves at that decision, and the idea of wanting a president to be a king. If you said that at George Washington and Thomas Jefferson's gravestones, their fucking corpses would rise out of the ground and probably try to bite you and turn you into a zombie.
Or choke you out.
You can like Trump all you want, but you say, I want him to be president forever. Stop fucking saying it's patriotism. It's not. It is literally the most unpatriotic thing you can do. Because wanting him to be a king is the most un-American thing you could possibly say. Because we don't have kings in this country.
We tried to make, even before Trump, we tried to make Washington king.
Yeah, and he said no! Yeah. And he said no, and it's the most important thing that ever happened in the history of the fucking world in that moment when he said no to that.
Even King George was impressed by that when he heard that. He was actually like, oh shit, he actually did that? He's like,
damn, fam, restraint.
For real,
I know if you're me, I can't edge like that, homie. I gotta get my nut out. Like, real quick, you can just hold on to that for every bad bitch at the ball.
and for all the bad
everybody
bitches in
wants
the ball.
to wash his tons, bro. Like,
and for all the bad bitches in the ball, here's our plugs for all y'all to enjoy. Here's also I don't know, my balls for you to vote on. Like, you can vote for my balls to be president for 2024. I almost forgot what year it was, actually. But
he's gonna send me his balls in like Discord message right now, being like, put this at the end of the thumbnail. Spotify, Apple,
and on both balls, this is gonna be Trump and Biden.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, not Google Podcasts anymore, I forgot. 5-star review on Spotify. Leave a subscription on the channel if you like this, because we actually have some gaming content coming, I think, before this episode is even going to be out. I have a Team Fortress 2 video recorded, because the game's playable again. Valve actually got rid of the bots. Thank God, and I've been having a grand old time playing TF2 again. It's been fucking fire. Yeah, we love y'all. See you in a couple months when the election rolls down, where I'm probably going to echo a lot of the same sentiments that I'm saying right now, and be talking about how Biden, flipped his limo and crawled out of it, and how Biden is now the more popular candidate again. Whatever happens, 4 months away is a long time off. But it's about every day before then, and it's about every day after. Not the day of. Love y'all, and we will see you next week. Kisses on the mouth.
Watch out for your ear.
I'm too soon, bro.